Hello everyone, this is AndresRestart, and today we are talking about how Nintendo just teased something crazy in the Mario Galaxy movie. Like, I saw this, and at first I was like, what could that possibly be? But the only thing that actually seems to make sense when you look it through is the return of a particular character that is not really related to Mario at all, and this might even be suggesting the return of this series to come to Nintendo Switch 2 in the not-so-distant future, which would be absolutely huge. So that's what we're diving into today. But before going forward, let me point out I have this goal to reach 60,000 subscribers, so if you find yourself enjoying my videos and you haven't subscribed already, I would very much appreciate your subscription. So in this recent ad for the Mario Galaxy movie, we see this shot where we see Peach, Luigi, Yoshi, Mario, Toad, all looking at what appears to be Rosalina's observatory. But at the left side, when the camera is pulled away very briefly for just a few short frames, we can see a figure. The figure appears to have a gray coat, some green clothes, and something else that people seem to be missing here. It looks like even red shoes. Now, some people speculated this might be like Luigi's bike or Toad's backpack, and I will say with Toad's backpack, the colors do match outside of the fact that there's also red, but it's also Toad's backpack. Why would it be so tall? Perhaps it's a perspective thing, but when I see the red, when I see the shape, to me it looks like this character has like a gun to their side. It looks like they have red shoes, and so with this in mind, this might be, and I know this may sound crazy because it's a Mario Galaxy movie, but this might be Fox McCloud from Star Fox. I know, it sounds crazy. It's a Mario movie. Why? Why would this be here? But just stick with me here. There are some things I'm going to point out that may have you convinced that this is Star Fox. So firstly, this wouldn't be the first time they've done some clever little edits to hide certain characters. In an earlier Mario Galaxy movie trailer, we saw Mario and Luigi fighting Bowser Jr., and they edited the scene in a way where Yoshi would not be visible. Now we see that Yoshi is in that scene. So there's already precedent to have some interesting little editing tricks, either by cropping or zooming in, to hide certain other characters that they don't want to be revealed yet. That said, Yoshi is very understandable to be in a Mario movie because Yoshi is a Mario universe character. Star Fox, on the other hand, not at all. However, something I'll point out is that Donkey Kong is also, interestingly, missing throughout the Mario Galaxy movie. Now, we've seen the copyright filings by both Nintendo and Universal for a Donkey Kong motion picture. This leads us to believe that Nintendo is likely making a Donkey Kong movie. They've been pushing Donkey Kong, we've been talking about this. This makes a lot of sense. But maybe Nintendo has this plan here, where with each Mario movie, they're going to use it as an opportunity to introduce another character that will be having its own presence. Like with Donkey Kong, not only did we get the Donkey Kong redesign, but we got Donkey Kong Bonanza, we had the Donkey Kong expansion to Super Nintendo World. Clearly, there was a huge cross-promotional plan for Donkey Kong, and having Donkey Kong in that first Mario movie was great promotion for that series, and now Bonanza is doing really well. What if Nintendo wants to do this with future Mario movies? The Mario movies are always going to reach a larger audience than other Nintendo IP. Even if Nintendo is planning to make movies for other series, we know Zelda's on the way, there are rumors about Metroid. If we are to get things like a Metroid movie, or a Donkey Kong movie, or maybe even a Star Fox movie at some point or another, maybe Nintendo wants to find ways to boost the brand for these different IP before we get to that point. So having Donkey Kong in the first Mario movie would make a lot of sense, and maybe having Star Fox in this Mario Galaxy movie would also make sense to reintroduce the character to a very large audience, maybe announce a new Star Fox game coming out perhaps in a year or two for Nintendo Switch 2, and then a year or two later they come out with the Star Fox movie. This could be a part of some sort of grandmaster plan in terms of Nintendo cross-promoting things here. And it is a Mario Galaxy movie, since we are going into the galaxies, which lends itself towards having a lot more freedom, visiting different planets, interacting with space and characters that traverse throughout space. So is it really that crazy to think that Star Fox could be involved? And just taking another look at this character here, like, quite clearly to me, I see, yes, a gray coat, green sleeves, there's like a metal bracelet, they have a belt that's holding up what appears to be some kind of blaster with a little bit of a green pointer light, and then you see what looks kind of like what would be Star Fox's shoe. Now, when looking at different designs for Star Fox, so there have been different iterations, sometimes his boots are just kind of mostly gray, but sometimes they're also red. There have been multiple versions where it's been red, and we do see a little bit of red here. Now, I know people are saying it's like Luigi's bike or Toad's backpack, but I just don't see how it could be either of those things. Like, just look at where Toad is, look at where this character is. Yeah, it's closer, but I don't see how that's a backpack, I don't see how that's a motorcycle. I think what it looks like is, yeah, definitely a character that could be Star Fox, except we don't see his head, we just see, like, the side with his clothes. So maybe it's not Star Fox, maybe it's something else, maybe it's some sort of space cadet of some kind. But the way it looks like someone who would work with Star Fox if it's not Star Fox. But, you know, I think it's Star Fox. I know it sounds crazy, but maybe Nintendo's just doing something crazy here. Donkey Kong was like the cool crossover character for the first Mario movie. It made a lot of sense. Donkey Kong is technically part of the Mario universe, but Donkey Kong is also its own thing at the same time. Maybe now that we're in Galaxy, they're gonna have Star Fox be the cool crossover character and allow that to set things up for a new revival of Star Fox, where there'll be a new awesome Star Fox game coming out for Switch 2 really soon, and also a Star Fox movie as well. Star Fox, I think, lends itself really well towards having some sort of show, anime, movie. They could do something incredible with that, and I am definitely here thinking, wow, maybe Nintendo is kind of going in a little bit of that Marvel direction. They did tease Yoshi with a post-credit scene at the end of the first Mario movie. I am now here thinking, well, maybe there's going to be a tease for something else at the end of this one. If they're going to be having crossover characters, that's very Marvel. The different movies cross-promote each other, and they might be doing something similar here as well. Does that mean they're eventually going to do a Smash Bros. Movie? Well, I don't want to say for sure, but we do know that Nintendo has a plan here. They've teased they have other movies in mind that they want to announce in the not-so-distant future. If we're going to get a Donkey Kong movie, if there's going to be a Star Fox movie, there are rumors for a Metroid movie. Well, if they're branching out to doing movies for all their different IP, clearly they're setting up something big here. Maybe a Smash Bros. Movie wouldn't really be that crazy. Maybe that could be like this ultimate culmination. There would be huge cross-promotion, which would, yes, make Nintendo a lot of money, and help them not just with people buying tickets for the movies and watching them in different platforms, but also inspiring people to play more Nintendo games. So I'm going out on a limb here. I'm saying this is actually Star Fox. Nintendo is doing something crazy, and it's all about reviving the Star Fox brand, because he's coming back. A Star Fox game is not far off. I believe it. Every once in a while I bring it up. You may have noticed I put out a community poll last week, and I worded Star Fox slightly differently than the other IP in that poll, and there's a reason for it. I feel it in my bones. Star Fox, he's getting ready for his next adventure, and it's gonna be an awesome one. Now, what would this new adventure entail? I'm not talking about his potential presence in the movie, I'm talking about the implied game if his presence is actually in this movie. So I think it's actually hard to say, because one of the issues with Star Fox is that it kind of feels like Nintendo hasn't really known what to do with it. But I'll say this, we look at how they made Donkey Kong more personable. They gave him a new design. He has a lot more facial expressions. Actually, a lot of the characters in Mario Kart World have a lot more expressiveness to them, but then DK in Donkey Kong Bonanza has a great deal of expressiveness to him. And I think that is very, very intentional. It's not just about having a cool little visual flair to the game, but about helping people to get more in touch with the character. And so I think Nintendo has this idea to do this with a lot of their characters, not just across the movies, but also their games. And so with that in mind, if Star Fox is going to be a part of this big cross-promotional genius plan, then I do think with the next game, it's gonna be a little bit more personable as well. And so when I say that, I mean that we're not just gonna see Star Fox like in a cockpit the entire time, we're gonna see a decent amount of interaction where we can see his face, his expressiveness. And so does that mean there's going to be a little bit more of an adventure outside of the R-Wing? I'm going to guess yes, although I do think R-Wing gameplay would have to be a huge component to the game. And in terms of the structure of the game, that's a tough call. I'll say that I think it's interesting that we haven't seen like an exclusive Ubisoft title yet, and every generation at the beginning, at least for the last few decades, we've seen Ubisoft put out an exclusive Nintendo title, and they haven't done that yet. But they had a great deal of success with Mario Rabbids, and this is not just a timed exclusive for the platform, but it was something using Nintendo IP, and it was fully exclusive. Maybe they see potential in investing in another Nintendo IP in a similar way. And when we take a look at Starlink, they put in a decent amount of Star Fox content in there. It wasn't actually Star Fox. And I think with the technology they use for Starlink, if they use that as a foundation to build a proper Star Fox game, they could have something special. And I am sure I am not the only person who has thought this. I imagine people at Ubisoft and Nintendo saw that and thought, what if we could do something here? I would not be surprised if they at least kicked around the idea. Now, would they actually go forward with the project? That remains to be seen, but we haven't seen that Ubisoft exclusive yet. Maybe they are working on Star Fox. Maybe this is all part of one giant Star Fox comeback. But what do you all think? Let me know in the comments below. This is AndresRestart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I will see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.